If you're taking NAD injections or if you've been thinking about it, I want to share why I actually stopped NAD shots completely and what I'm doing instead for midlife energy. So if you're new here, I'm Coach Kaylee. I'm an integrative health practitioner, and I use functional testing to uncover why your body stopped responding the way it used to. So let's get into this. After using NAD injections on and off for like 5 years, I started to notice a new pattern. At first, the shots had felt amazing, like clean energy, mental clarity, just on. I could handle my crazy busy life. Then one day I started to notice after my shot, I would get this big jolt of energy. But then more often than not, within a few days, I would feel an equally big total bottoming out of my energy. It took me a little bit to make the connection between the spikes and the crashes and the shots. But once I did, I stopped my NAD shots completely. And here's where it gets really interesting. So I happened to be going through my second peptide certification. And when I got to the NAD section, which by the way, isn't actually a peptide, but it's often grouped with them, one of the contraindications that they mentioned was a spike and a crash in energy, most often seen in people with MTHFR or detox challenges. And that caught my attention because I have MTHFR. And it's a pretty common genetic variant. About 40% of people have some variation in that pathway. So that means a lot of you might have it too. So now I'm starting to connect the dots. And I'm like, I'm 49. I'm in menopause. I'm running a business. I'm helping take care of 2 teenagers. I have a big life I want to show up for. Lots of clients. I need big energy. I do all the lifestyle things, but I still want to support cellular energy as I age. So I want to understand, why are NAD shots not working for me anymore? And now that I do, I can share it with you. So first, NAD is not a peptide. It's a coenzyme. That basically means it's something your cells rely on to do their jobs. And if you think back to like middle school science class, did any of you guys make the cell model with like hair gel and pipe cleaners and jelly beans, and you were identifying the nucleus and the mitochondria? The powerhouse of the cell. That always stuck with me. That's where energy gets made. And NAD is essential in that process. So when NAD is working well, we feel this steady energy. We have clear thinking. Our bodies are recovering well. Everything's just firing the way it's supposed to. It doesn't necessarily feel like a boost, but it should just feel steady. It also plays a really big role in repair. This is what first got me interested. So it helps with repairing tissue. So think like joints and ligaments and muscles, but also our skin and how it looks. It helps with recovering from workouts. It helps with less inflammation. So a lot of things that impact metabolic function. And it supports our longevity pathway. So basically how well your body maintains and repairs itself over time. All things I was looking to support. NAD naturally declines as we age. So in midlife, we have less of what our cells need at the exact same time that our bodies are actually being asked to do more with less resources. So that's why I think this has become such a big conversation for midlife women, and why, yes, NAD injections can help. They deliver NAD directly into your body. And for some people, that's going to feel great. For me, it did at first. But what happened? Why did it stop working? It's because it's not just about increasing NAD. It's what your body can actually do with that NAD once it's there. Because when you increase NAD, you're increasing other demands on your body, more energy production, more cellular activity, and your body has to keep up with that. Your mitochondria have to convert it efficiently. Your nervous system has to regulate it. Your detox pathways have to process the byproducts that come with that increased activity. Because when we talk about your body being able to handle something like NAD, what we're really talking about is the body's ability to keep up with everything that comes with increased cellular activity. A big part of that comes back to our detox pathways, not in like some kind of trendy way, but this is like a very real physiological thing. And this is where the MTHFR comes into play, because if you have MTHFR, you basically have sluggish detox pathways. And our bodies, especially in midlife, they're constantly processing hormone metabolites, environmental exposures, byproducts from metabolism, even things that are created from our own normal cellular functioning. So we have more hormonal fluctuations in midlife on top of that, which means more hormone metabolites to process, We've had years of cumulative exposure to things like skincare ingredients, household products, environmental toxins. A lot of us have been under-eating, especially under-eating protein, which directly impacts how well our liver can do its job. Mineral depletion becomes more common, and minerals are required for all these pathways to function. Sleep's disrupted. How many people struggle with that? That's when our repair and detoxification is actually happening. And stress. Chronic stress, it shifts your body out of a state where it prioritizes repair and into a state where it ends up just being in survival mode, just trying to keep up. So now we have a body that's already doing a lot, and we layer in something that increases demand like NAD. Instead of getting smooth energy, your system, it just can't keep up. And that's why I was feeling this crash. So instead of forcing something that didn't feel aligned anymore, I asked a different question. How do I support these processes in my body in a way that feels consistent and sustainable and actually works for my physiology instead of trying to just push past it? And that's when I learned about NMN. So my mom, actually, who is 71, her biological age is 53. She also has MTHFR. She told me about this health research organization that she was getting NMN from. So I started doing research on the organization, on NMN, and here's what I learned. And I want to explain this in a way that actually makes sense, because I think this is where a lot of people get confused. NAD is something our body needs in order to produce energy and support repair. And our body is designed to make NAD on its own, but it needs the right building blocks, the capacity to do it. NMN is one of those building blocks. It's a precursor, meaning our body can take it and convert it into NAD inside our cells. So instead of taking the NAD and making this big surge, we give our body what it needs to build it. It does it in a more regulated, sustainable way, like with what's going to work for your physiology. So beyond just the energy, what was really interesting to me about NMN is there's all this research out there that tell us that it supports things like liver function, which is huge in midlife, huge for hormonal health and hormonal balance. Gut health, also huge for hormones, also big, important for breaking down protein, being able to absorb your nutrients. It helps reduce inflammation in the digestive system. It even strengthens the gut barrier and supports a healthier gut microbiome. So now we're not just talking about energy anymore. We're talking about supporting the systems that create energy and resilience in the first place. And for me, that matters even more. And then the other piece of it is that the conversion process of NMN to NAD requires methylation, which we talked about. That's part of the MTHFR struggles. So when you increase NMN, you increase demand on that methylation pathway. And if you don't support it, you might end up right back to that feeling of fatigue. That's where pairing NMN with TMG comes in. So TMG is something that our body is already going to recognize. It's found in foods like beets. It acts as what we call a methyl donor, which basically means it helps your body carry out the processes more efficiently. And this is why it's really relevant for women in midlife, because TMG has been studied for its ability to support healthy homeostasis levels, to reduce inflammation, to again support liver function. So instead of putting more stress on the liver, we're actually using two resources that support it. And that matters because our liver is one of the main organs responsible for processing everything we talked about earlier: hormones, toxins, metabolic byproducts. So now we're not just adding something in and hoping our body can keep up and use it. We're supporting the systems that actually allow the body to use it well. If you have been around for a while, you know I'm never going to talk about a supplement without talking about lifestyle, because nothing works without the foundations. Not a supplement, not a peptide, not hormone therapy. If you want to support cellular energy, you have to also be working on your lifestyle. So adding enough fiber to help your body eliminate toxins and excess hormones, minerals and hydration, the daily electrolyte support. Stabilizing your blood sugar, because if your blood sugar is spiking and crashing, you're never going to feel like you have stable energy. That means getting fiber and protein early in the day and getting early morning sunlight. So when all those things are working together, the lifestyle, the NMN, the TMG, you're going to feel steady energy, clear thinking, less crash, and like you can handle your life. And if something's off, it's not a failure, it's feedback. I always tell my clients, it's not about chasing the next thing. It's about understanding your body well enough to choose what works for you. And that's what I'm hoping to help you do here. So if this helped you think about your energy a little differently, make sure you're subscribed, because we're going to be talking a lot more about all of these things. And if you want to go deeper on NMN and TMG, there is a link in my bio. If you have questions, pop over to Instagram, find me there in the DMs. I'd love to hear what's going on with you and your body.